Introducing, no, just kidding. This has already been introduced for quite some time. It is the Lego Marvel X Mansion with 3,093 pieces. We've got a sealed one here, and we've got a built one. And today in this video, we're going to be preparing to supersize our X Mansion using two sets, also a bunch of additional pieces from our inventory. And in order to do that, of course, we need to push this one aside, and we need to dump this one out and prepare it for its next phase, which of course will be a parted out version of the X Mansion. We'll get rid of the box, and we will cut this open like a savage and part it out slowly but surely. So what we're going to do is dump out each bag individually and then sort this entire set by part type. Probably refer to this one and figure out how we're going to supersize this thing. Double it. Yeah, so today in this video we're going to just prepare for that and maybe discuss how I plan on doing that, because at this point I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm excited about this project here. This is going to be pretty sweet. I can't say when we're actually going to finish it, but I think what's going to be unique about this particular double up is that Mrs. Bricksie is going to be involved. I don't think she's been involved in any of the other double ups that we've done, like all of the modular buildings that we've doubled up, or the Daily Bugle, or the Sanctum Sanctorum. I think that was all sort of me. And I think Simon helped me with some of it as well, actually. But it's going to be a really fun project to take on together with Mrs. Bricksie. That's going to be awesome. I'm pretty excited. This is going to be sweet. And, you know, this sort of feels old-fashioned for us here. We're just parting everything out by part type, of course. And this is like something that we haven't done in quite some time, because it's been a while since we've doubled up one of our buildings. And it's been a while since we've taken on like a rebrickable model, because if we do a rebrickable model of any Lego set, that's when you take a Lego set, like a modular building or whatever it may be, and you build something different using that parts based on somebody's instructions from rebrickable.com. We part out things the exact same way, just like this. And I feel like it's been a long time since we've actually done that. But that doesn't mean we don't know how to do it. Mrs. Bricksie and I just fire through this so quickly. It's actually funny how fast we can sort this type of thing. Because of course, with the way we're sorting this is exactly how we sort all of our Lego parts within our system. Now there are some items in this set that we wanted to build rather than part out. For example, we have the Sentinel. Maybe we should have two Sentinels in our Lego city. That's pretty neat. We may as well build that rather than sort it into the bins, not use any of those pieces during the build, and then put them into our parts inventory after. Also, this set comes stacked with epic minifigures. We don't need two sets of minifigures throughout the city. So what we're actually going to do is give away these awesome minifigures, a lot of which are exclusive to this set, during our Whatnot streams in the month of April here in 2025. So if you don't follow me on Whatnot, make sure you join using my link. You can get a $15 credit, and you can enter in for your chance to win some epic Marvel minifigures in the month of April. But yeah, just like that, Mrs. Bricksie and I have built the Sentinel, we built all the minifigures, and we parted out the entire X Mansion. Well, isn't that satisfying, everybody? Oh my gosh, Mrs. Bricksie and I just flew through that. It was actually crazy. So now we have all the part varieties all sorted. So for example, panels, they're in their own bin, along with bricks. And we've got like studs not on top building pieces. So like modified bricks with the forward-facing studs and all the brackets. And this is an example of something that could be broken down even further. We could pull out all the bricks, and we could pull out all the panels and give them their own bin. And I think as we build, we'll probably do that. For example, plates, we might put all the big plates in a separate bin and put all the 1x plates in a separate bin and all the odd shaped stuff. But when you're initially sorting it, I think it's easier just to break it down by all of these different part groupings. You know, you got all the smaller stuff together, the cheese slopes, the 1x1 brick style stuff, and the little tiny panels, all these, because there's a lot of them. Then we have all like the oddity stuff, like vegetation, and that's where all the minifigures originated until I built them all. Now we've got a second set of minifigures, pretty cool. I'm gonna give all those away as I mentioned there, so that's gonna be pretty fun. Tiles, I could probably break down a little bit further. Put all the 2x tile in one bin, all the 1x tile in another bin, so then it's gonna be easier to find the parts that we're looking for when we supersize this thing, where am I going to start with supersizing this? That's a question that I'm still sort of asking myself. I think the base plate has got to be addressed right away. So this actually sits on 3 half base plates because it's modular and it splits apart. I don't think our supersized version is going to split apart, so we can merge all the base plates together. But am I going to make it wider? Like, do I need to increase this from 1.5 plates to 2 plates? Maybe. That'd probably be a good idea. Do I want to make it deeper? For example, right now it's on 1.5 plates by 1 plate. Maybe I need to put it on a 48 by 48 plate so we have more depth to work with. In my opinion, this building is much too narrow. The width of it might actually be all right. I think the height of it could be increased a little bit, but I also want to reference the source material of the actual X mansion, which looks very similar to this. It's only 2 floors, has the entrance and then the 2 side sort of buildings connected by the narrow parts. So I don't want to increase the height of it because then it's not true to the X mansion, but I could definitely increase the height of each floor. But either way, I need to figure out what we're going to do for the base plate configuration first, because that's going to sort of determine the scale of the build that we're going to do here. And something else that is very important is the roof. I feel like the roof is something that needs to be addressed at the beginning of the build. Isn't that weird? Why would I address this at the beginning of the build? Because I would hate to increase the size of all the floors and make it, you know, deeper and wider and just increase the scale of everything and then get to the roof and find out, oh no, the math that I did on the floors isn't going to work with the math of the slopes. And it's going to look weird. So I need to make sure whatever I do to the other floors is actually going to be able to be replicated with the scale of the roof, you know? Just get that Lego math right. But I'm definitely thinking we should start with the construction of the mills plate that's actually going to sit on and go from there. Okay, so it's been a day. I was doing a bunch of other stuff and I had some time to think about the X mansion. I was mentioning the math and I want to make sure that I get the roof math right. And I was talking about the base plate size. And I was like, oh, I don't know how big to make this thing. What are we going to do? So this base plate here is essentially double the size of the original base plate, other than the depth. I didn't want to double the depth because to make it 2 base plates deep would be pretty insane. And you can always just add more depth to the model by creating the yard out front on a separate base plate. It doesn't really need to be built into the actual doubled up model. So this here is 3 base plates wide, whereas the original is 1.5 base plates wide. I could use this space to go big. Go big or go home, baby. What I could do is double the X mansion. Not the height, but double the width and double the depth of the building. And I should have enough parts to do that. Now, I was looking at this module right here because, like I said, I want to start with the roof. So the first thing I would need to do is actually double this and then work on a roof module. And I would be able to work on it in chunks. For example, I could just create a representation of this, which is double the size. But we run into a part constraint, in my opinion. So these windows here, if I were to double this, I would make these window blocks of 4. But if I were to add some height to the actual height of the floors rather than adding another floor to the model, I would probably want to increase the height of the windows by another window. So that would change these windows to blocks of 6. But if I were to make them blocks of 6, unfortunately, we would run into a window shortage, and I don't have reddish brown windows in my inventory. Because if I were to make this 6 and this 6 and this 6 and all of these windows 6, there's 16 sets of windows across here. We would need 96 windows total, and there's just not enough windows to do that. Unless, and this is probably going to be my plan, I salvage from these windows on the side and also the windows on the back. And then I would be able to get 96 windows to allocate all the reddish brown windows to the front of the model if we double the size of it. Because each set has 50 windows, so I have 100 of them and I need 96 for the windows out front. So we could do that. I could literally double the depth and width of this model. And to give you a sense of scale as to how big it would be, it wouldn't quite be as wide as this here, because we wouldn't be doubling the tiles on the side. And we wouldn't be doubling the doors, so we would have a little bit of breathing room on either side. Now the reason I would have to increase the height, and how high would I have to increase it, would actually be one of these tiles here, because if I were to increase the height, I would want to have these like modified tiles consistently going up and down the building. So I would have to increase the height of each floor by one of these. And if I were to increase the height of each floor by one of those, I would have to increase it by 3 bricks and 1 plate. And that's why I would want to add an additional window, because if I didn't add an additional window of height, I think the windows would look tiny amongst all of that dark orange. So this is the mock-up that I came up with. And the mock-up represents this section right here, just these 2 windows. So rather than using 4 windows, I would use 12 windows, and we would increase the spacing in between the windows to 4 and 2, essentially doubling everything up other than the light gray weird tile things on either side. Those would remain at 1, and then that would be allocated to breathing space on the side of the building. So yeah, we would be turning that little face right there into that. And it would pretty much span this entire base plate. I think that would be awesome. And we could actually recreate the yard in front to make it make more sense. And we could have another base plate or series of base plates in front of it to give like the yard more space. But I wouldn't want to build that into the actual module of the X mansion. So I think that's what we're going to do, and don't mark my words on this, but it'd be really cool if I expanded the yard and I had the X-Jet built into the base plate and we had the garage open so that the X-Jet could fly away. Now the big question is if I decide to do that and I make a spot for the X-Jet, whether it be beside the mansion or in front of the mansion or wherever it may be, where in the heck am I going to put this in my Lego city? It definitely wouldn't fit in the downtown core unless I got rid of a substantial amount of road, so the countryside would be the obvious answer. But the countryside, I mean, although it's huge, this would take up a lot of space within it. I think we could make this work though, like in the countryside. That's sort of where it belongs, but the issue is we would have to have some sort of road connect to it. There would be like that grand sort of driveway, which is in front of the X mansion when you look at the source material. And if I want to build this into the mills plate, which is already built up 8 bricks, so it should be able to accommodate it when you look at the height of it. Should be able to. Then I got to give more space to the X mansion. So it would consume a lot of space, but I think it would look so epic if it was that size. Like imagine how big that would be. It would be massive. Another option is I could put it like up on a hill or something over here so that it doesn't take away the space from the countryside. Or another option that I have is I could just make it big and grand like I'm doing here, right? Increase the depth of it, but try and keep it on a 1 base plate module rather than 1.5 like it currently is. There should be enough space to do that because how many studs are allocated to the actual building? Not much, whatever that is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 roughly. So 28 would be double. So you would have 4 studs left over on a 32 by 32 for a sidewalk out front, and you could just build it like pretty much from here to here, and it would be like this giant mansion with just a little bit of a sidewalk out front, and we could technically pop that downtown. Like it could go anywhere downtown. I don't know where, but it could be worked in with other modular buildings on, say, Pop Culture Street. You could just have an X mansion chilling right there. And because we're not increasing the width of the doorways and also those light gray panels on either side, it gives it more breathing room, so there would be space on either side of the building. So that might work too. What do you think? Giant grounds in the countryside with the X-Jet consuming a ton of space in the countryside, taking away like the ability to do other things over here, or make it a modular building that would go in the Lego City. But I think I'm pretty much sold on doubling the size of it, because why wouldn't I? You know, we have 2 sets. I think making it massive would be epic. Nice tall ceilings would be pretty rad too. We're gonna have the ability to do more rooms inside and just different unique things. Or maybe it could go up there too. If we just do it the modular building with like the 4 studs of sidewalk, or even more, I guess, like that right there, that size would fit up there on the hill or something. Either way, I think I'm just gonna build the massive X mansion on this plate, and then I'm gonna decide where it goes later, and I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do with the X-Jet, or if we're going to integrate that into the model. It's pretty epic. I'm pretty excited, everybody. It's gonna be rad, so make sure you stay tuned. I don't know what we're gonna do though. I don't know if it's gonna be countryside with the X-Jet hangar, or if it's gonna be a modular building amongst the hills or in the downtown core, or if it's just gonna be a massive X mansion that I can put anywhere here in the studio, maybe even in the shelving room. I have no idea. Let me know what you think, and remember to stay tuned. It's gonna be epic. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, wow. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and thank you so much for popping on by. Farewell.